Am I the asshole for telling my girlfriend to grow up? Me, 23M, and my girlfriend, 27F, have been together for about 5 years, 4, but literally a week from 5, and 3 years into the relationship we had a child. For context, he wasn't a planned child by any means, as we had taken birth control measures. Early on I wore protection, and then she started taking birth control. Neither of us know how the child happened, but we accepted that it happened and moved on. I finished up the last little bit of college I had and found a job before the baby arrived. She stopped working as my income was now enough and now stays home with the baby as we discussed that was what would be best. In the following years since the birth of my son, my girlfriend has grown increasingly more intolerant. At first she was elated, wanted to show him off and was happy to deal with everything. Then it grew to her being annoyed by small things. She wanted me to change every diaper. We split them once I'm home and during off days, and was annoyed by everything our son did. Flash forward now, and contrary to the saying, terrible twos, he tends to be very well behaved. He doesn't cry that much, he adapted to potty training quickly and well, and he doesn't really fuss. My girlfriend has been going out a lot. I don't have a problem with it because everyone needs time to have fun and relax. This night was a night she went out. A few nights ago, my son came to my side of the bed. He woke me up and told me that he peed in his sleep. I told him it was okay. I woke up my girlfriend and told her, and asked her to clean him up quickly while I went and cleaned it. She took a minute to wake up so I went ahead and left to go clean it up. In the middle of it I heard her screaming at our son. I go in there and ask her why she's screaming at him, and she responds that it's because he peed the bed. I told her he's 2 and that accidents happen. This shouldn't be a moment to scold him and scream. She said that since I could be better I should do it, so I helped him get cleaned up and then cleaned up in his room, and by that time he fell asleep on the couch. I covered him up and went back to my room. When I got back is when the argument started. I told her that I shouldn't have to handle that alone because she can't control her anger. She told me that since I was such a good parent I should quit my job and stay at home and she should go work, since she's so horrible. She went on with this for about 5 minutes, before telling me she regrets having our son. A little shocked, I told her she didn't have a way of finding a job capable of supporting us and that she proposed the idea of her staying home when he was born. I told her she needed to grow up, because the way she was acting will be something he remembers. Ever since we've barely spoke and now I'm wondering if I took it too far. I think rather than posting on Reddit about this one argument you need to see the bigger picture. Your girlfriend is struggling and clearly is not coping well as a stay-at-home mom. You two need to figure this out. Perhaps she needs some therapy to work through her anger towards her son. Could well be postpartum depression. Perhaps you two need to find a way for her to return to work. This is much bigger than one late-night argument and it needs resolving ASAP. Not the asshole, but I think there may be different things involved. Your girlfriend may be regretting the lost years of being pregnant plus having a child. Perhaps she wants to pursue a career. Can you afford to send your kid to a daycare center if she looks for a job? Maybe she's looking to find her identity and not just as a mother. It may be a bunch of things. I'd suggest talking about it, about what you both want, what you're both able to do given the circumstances, and what things you both need to negotiate, give up because you both decided to have a child. And, I know it's a moot comment, but congrats on being pretty grounded and growing up so quickly. Not every guy the first no would have reacted like you did. PPD can appear up to 2 years after the birth of a child. I don't think this is an asshole question. I think that your girlfriend needs a doctor. She is literally saying the trademark PPD spiel right now, especially if she was excited to be a mother before now. I think you need to prioritize getting her to a doctor. Treat this seriously, and as an urgent condition that needs attention right away. Take sick leave from work if you have to, and consider finding alternate care for your son until you can get her into her GP. This is beyond being the asshole or not. You guys, your girlfriend in particular, need to be in family therapy. She's clearly bitter about having your son and I don't see how this gets better without therapy. And in truth, if she doesn't agree to it then you need to consider breaking up with her and getting full custody of your son in order to protect him. Everyone sucks here. Your reply was useless and incendiary. Her screaming at a toddler is useless and abusive. Y'all need therapy and some daycare to start. And #X200B. Women are deeply shamed for not adoring being around a screaming, vomiting, shitting, helpless human all day. It's exhausting. I truly believe she needs a break. Daycare should help, a job might too, maybe school. Society expects women's lives to revolve around their children, but society's expectations are ridiculous, ancient, useless bullshit. So, you, less flippant with your responses, because you're adding to the problem. Her, no more yelling at a baby, goddammit. Both of you get into therapy, kid into daycare. Best wishes to you all. She certainly shouldn't have shouted at your toddler, but I don't think it was necessary to wake her up when you could have dealt with it yourself. When she's at home alone with your child, she handles everything herself. There's also obviously a larger problem here. She's overwhelmed by being a stay-at-home mother. That doesn't excuse her behavior, but it is something that needs to be addressed if you want her behavior to change. Telling her to grow up when she's confessed that she's struggling is not constructive. I also want to add that your child knows when his parents are arguing, and he's lying in bed thinking it's all his fault. Your so's behavior is not the only thing he's going to remember. Family counseling. Seriously, get your girlfriend in front of a doctor so she can work through her issues. Resentment can happen for a ton of reasons, and if approached properly she will feel much better and can hopefully let go of these feelings. Why can you not both work? If you're covering all the expenses, she only needs to find a job to cover the cost of childcare. Not the asshole op. You're doing best by your child. But I was that mom. Not an angry mom, but a mom devoid of feelings. I spent a lot of my son's second year of life curled up on the couch staring at the back of it and crying. PPD can come on late. Some isolation, in combination with COVID, can do a number on someone, and it's really hard to see. Let her find a job. Encourage her to try therapy or antidepressants. She will thank you when she feels better. My husband literally called the doctor and drove me to my appointment when he realized how depressed I was. I wouldn't have gone if he didn't. Not the asshole. It sounds like she's miserable as a stay-at-home mom. Maybe she could get a job, if you can afford a babysitter. And don't leave your kid on the couch unsupervised. He could have fallen down and hurt himself. Not the asshole. She will traumatize him and he will have more accidents if he's treated so poorly, or he will have other hang-ups. You and her need to have a long conversation about what she wants to do and how to go forward. Childcare. She sounds resentful of her choices and it will likely only get worse. Is it possible to get a babysitter while she gets a part-time job of some type? Info. What are you all using for birth control now? Birth control pills can really fuck you up mentally. I became borderline psychotic in the month I took a certain formulation of birth control. Even if she was okay with that pill before, new side effects can develop over time. She needs to find a new doctor and tell them what's going on because it sounds like it may be depression. Not the asshole. Sounds like she needs a break and is unable to express it. Screaming at your kid for a potty accident is not acceptable, poor guy. But maybe it's time to look into putting him in daycare and having her get a job. Not the asshole. I feel like everyone else who is questioning your methods don't have a kid. Haven't tried to balance job, life, baby at home with a spiteful significant other who views your job as free time, as if you're not working your butt off to provide for your family. This goes beyond Reddit. Obviously screaming at a toddler for wetting the bed is horrible. But, it sounds like she is really struggling with motherhood, life. Has she spoken to her doctor about this? Is she seeing a therapist? Something doesn't sound right. Not the asshole. Edit. Even if her working wouldn't fully cover the cost of daycare, I suggest exploring whether you can fit it into the budget. She sounds burned out. Even working part-time may help. Not the asshole. You did not go too far. It seems like she's going through a personal crisis fueled by regretful life decisions. You're right, she needs to grow up and act mature. What she's doing is attempting to absolve herself of responsibilities by disconnecting from the situation being that she's a mother, with a son, and needs to act accordingly. If she keeps this up, it could lead to potential trauma, thus negative lifelong side effects for your son. I don't know what advice to give, but I hope this situation doesn't balloon more than it already has. You're not the asshole here, but you absolutely need to get your son away from your wife. You're looking at severe and permanent psychological issues moving forward if she continues to parent him alone during the day. If she yelled at him that badly for something he can't fully control at that age, what else is she yelling at him about when you're not around? All that yelling is harmful. If she regrets having him, she can't make that feeling go away and she's going to treat him poorly for the rest of his life. It's time to do the right thing and take your son and go somewhere else. She needs a job outside the house. The kid needs a daycare, babysitter, nanny, and you both need some counseling. And you both need better sex education FFS. Neither of us know how the child happened. The pill is 91% effective on average is what happened. If, early on I wore protection, means you quit using condoms at any point, an eventual pregnancy was likely. Not the asshole she needs to grow up. Screaming at a literally toddler because he peed, it's as if he's a baby and that's what happens sometimes. You're right to say he'll remember being screamed at. You sounds like you have his best intentions at heart. Keep being a good dad. You're very young and she may feel he took away her party years but she chose to have sex. She was responsible and grown enough to do that. She needs to take responsibility for being a good parent. Not the asshole, but you guys did gave a unplanned child which it sounds like took away the rest of her life at such a young age. I feel sorry for your child but sorry for her too. I can't believe the amount of people excusing this behavior. Her depression, anxiety, whatever mental health she has explains her behavior, not excuses it. She screamed at a 2-year-old. Who knows what else she does when Op is not home? Do you guys hate children so much that you're willing to excuse a mother being abusive? Sheesh. Not the asshole. A slight lean towards esh. Grow up is not constructive in an argument. However, your wife screaming at a 2-year-old for wetting the bed is certainly not appropriate. Does she suffer from depression? Or is she just missing being unencumbered with a child and being able to go out and party? Could she get a part-time job, maybe in evenings or on weekends, just to get out of the house? First off, at 2, and even older, it's okay for a kid to wear a nappy overnight. Pop lil darling in one when he does to bed. He is so young it is totally fine and will help with bathroom, shame issues in the long run. Second, your partner is struggling. She doesn't necessarily not love your baby but emotionally she's clearly not coping. To me she's trying to exert her freedom. These days 25 is fairly young to have a kid, especially when the child is unplanned. Get your little one into childcare and your partner into a job even if you break even. Your partner needs her own life outside your baby. Even getting a sitter once or twice a month so the two of you can go out and have adult fun times would probably help. Not the asshole, because no matter how frustrated she is, she should not be screaming at your son, but it sounds like it's time to reevaluate your family dynamics. Sit down with her and ask her if she wants to get a job and have your son go to a sitter or preschool. Not everyone thrives being an at-home parent and that is okay. The events of the past year have probably exacerbated things because of the lack of social interaction and being stuck at home. Discuss options with her. She may not be able to support all of you, but she should be able to make at least enough to pay for childcare, and if that improves her mental health and relationship with son, then it's well worth it. How's your son going to react when she lets it slip in front of him during one of her tantrums she regrets having him? I certainly hope not, but I hope her anger towards him never escalates to physical abuse. Why not the asshole? NTA. Sounds like she's super stressed. Like super stressed. I know kids are a lot to handle, and being first-time parents isn't easy. Sounds like she needs a bit of a break, or a little vaca. Not the asshole. You're right, he will remember this. I read on another parenting post that babies, toddlers who don't cry much or at least developmentally normal amount are often neglected. Please pay close attention to how your child is treated during the day you are not around. It may be time to look into daycare and get her back to work. She is clearly overwhelmed, but she is taking it out on an innocent toddler. Neither of us know how the child happened. Well, ya see, when a boy and a girl like each other very much. Not the asshole, and you didn't take it far enough in my opinion. She got a new toy that she is now tired of and her reaction is immature. Verbal abuse is abuse and definitely something he will remember. Would she be open to parenting classes or therapy? Because if not, you better get used to the idea of being a single parent. Not everyone is meant to be a parent. It takes a lot of selflessness that not everyone has. If she is telling you she is a regretful, then you need to take heed. Not the asshole. That's awful behavior from her, but have you considered that she might be suffering from postnatal depression? That being a som is not suited to her and is adding to her depression. It's okay if she wants to be a working mom. She shouldn't be shamed for that. I suggest trying to get her see a doctor if she is depressed, and tell her she doesn't have to be a som anymore, and you both will pay for a nursery for your child. Seek family therapy too. If that doesn't work, then it's time to reevaluate the relationship. Not the asshole. You didn't take it far enough. Do not allow her to abuse and traumatize your son because that is exactly what she is doing. Dude, take your child and leave. Get custody of him and let her pay child support. Your girlfriend needs therapy. It's not bad she feels that way. Maybe it's the only way she subconsciously knows how to handle or express her feelings of frustration. I'm not saying it's okay for her to treat the baby like that. I'm saying that with therapy and voicing out her thoughts and feelings things might get better. Not the asshole. Oh boy. A shit ton of red flags here. You should put together a case for attaining main custody of your son because outlook for avoiding a broken home not so good. Not the asshole but my dude. The red flags. How do you know what she is like with your son when you aren't there? Have you thought of getting a nanny cam? Not the asshole, but I think you should give her an out. Your son doesn't need to grow up with her clearly resenting him. That's gonna mess him up. Tell her if she regrets him so much, she can sign over her rights and leave. I know it's not the best solution but it's better than that precious boy ever growing up thinking negatively of himself because he was born to a selfish mother. Not the asshole. You have to defend your son, always. We all lose our tempers sometimes. We all have bad days. But we also need to be called out and realize our mistakes. You didn't take it far enough. She was screaming at a 2-year-old for having an accident in his sleep. As far as I'm concerned, sounds like the idea of kids and a family to her was better than the reality of it, and she's taking it out on your going and very impressionable son. He's still a toddler. Toddlers have accidents. 5-year-olds have accidents. And her screaming at him isn't going to make it better. Seems to me that she has some obvious resentment about being a mom, or some PPD that's underlying and untreated, and that's a huge fucking problem. A problem that needs addressed. Not the asshole. I don't think she's coping well with being a som. It's hard and it's not for everyone. Look into daycares and have her go back to work. She regrets having a child because she wants a life outside of him like you have. You can't even clean him and his bed up alone. What do you think she does all day long? I'd be ticked too if you woke me up to help you with something that can easily be done by one person. It doesn't excuse her behavior yelling at your son, but I can see the frustration on both sides. Regardless, this is not a who's right and who's wrong situation. You need to sit down and talk about how you can fix this long term. Why did you wake her up when you were already up and could have handled your son and the mess yourself? That reminds me of the time my husband always asked me to set down the towel and help him get our son dressed for bed whenever I asked him to give our baby a bath because he couldn't stand to do it all even though I was the one always putting him to sleep. Not the asshole, but are you sure your son is safe? If she's screaming at him like that in front of you, what is she doing when you aren't home? She resents your son, and if she is not being physically abusive to him, she is certainly being emotionally abusive. If it is PPD, she needs help and you need to keep him safe. Do you have family that can take care of your son while you are at work? The fact that you immediately woke her up and asked her for help instead of just doing it yourself may be part of a larger problem. When she cares for the baby, she has to do everything 'cause you're not there. When you care for the baby, it's a team effort. You ought to think about doing more and not taking the 50% thing so literally. She sounds totally exhausted and worn out. Let me make one suggestion that we did when our daughter was young. She didn't sleep through the night till she was 8. So rather than us both pretending we didn't hear her till the first person who moved got up, we decided to alternate nights. On Monday night, if it was her night, I did wake her and went back to sleep, and she did the same on Tuesday. Man, we both ended up sleeping so much better when it wasn't our night. It took 75% of that stress off. I suggest I try for a couple of weeks and see if it helps. Staying home isn't for everyone. It's literally a never-ending grind. No breaks, no days off. no break from the mind-numbing routine. It's hard. It doesn't seem to be for her. Perhaps daycare, sitter and her working, even part-time, would help. She isn't happy and is taking it out on you and the child, which is never good. It's better for a child to be in a daycare setting than to be resented at home. Please read that line a few times. It truly is better for everyone involved. Even if her working only pays for the sitter, it's worth it. Typical. If this was about him, then he would be a miserable, poor excuse for a man and a terrible father, but since it's about her, then she's a poor, struggling creature who can't handle her horrible Psalm life. Whoa whoa whoa. This is not am I the asshole grade stuff. This is way higher. Up. You need to ask your girlfriend about her life, career goals. Ask how her mental health is. Consider putting your child in childcare, preschool right now. Now. Right now. I'm going no assholes here because you both need to do some communicating. Stat. Info. Did you and your girlfriend both agree to keep the baby, or did you pressure her into keeping it and not getting an abortion? I only ask because she said she regrets having him. Now it's totally possible she had different expectations for what having a baby were going to be, and reality soon stomped on her dreams. But if she was even thinking of having an abortion and you said absolutely no way, that would make you talk. You guys need therapy, not Reddit. It sounds like something serious is going on with your girlfriend's mental health. This is a cautionary tale to each and every person who tries to convince someone who doesn't want kids to have kids anyway.